And I really like the piece that, and I'm gonna be quick with my response to this question, the piece that Dr. Harris mentioned about, in part thinking about Black futures, thinking about, right, this summer. And then so future often typically ask us to chart some long time period that's far away from today, where when we think about people who live in precarious conditions, future can be tomorrow morning. And what does that look like? And just thinking about, and I had a response prepared, but Dr. Harris, I just loved her response where it just has me thinking completely different about the question where, and so Black futures in this context, particularly the moment that we see in Texas, what does it mean to be able to make it to the next day? And I'm a popular culture scholar, and thinking about just the environmental context that we're engaged in now with what's in Texas, with COVID. And so for me, I'm thinking about in what ways then have Black folks did what we've always done, where we've taken the conditions in which we was in, we've taken the small amount of resources we've had, and we've performed humanity, we've survived, and we came together. And so thinking about what's going on in Texas now, where if we get on Twitter, we see Black people organizing, mobilizing, we see people sharing homes because I may have just been one of those lucky ones to have power. We see people coordinating rides to get water, and thinking about the ways in which culture has been a space where, particularly popular culture, if we think about media, how those spaces have been spaces of survival, where, and then so particularly for me, and now I'm thinking about in what ways do we make it to the next day? What ways do we survive today so we can, a future is possible, where I'm thinking about Keith Layman when he wrote, sometimes it's not just enough for us to lose, right? But white people get mad when we don't lose the way they want us to. And part of what he was pointing to and how I was reading it was, right, these structural conditions, right, have been a constant, these negative structural conditions have been a constant throughout the Black experience in America. And today might be one of my pessimistic days. So it's difficult for me to imagine, right, a near future where these conditions don't manifest in some type of inequitable way. And so for me, I'm thinking about the ways in which music, aesthetics, religion has allowed people to live, survive, and make a way or make a future even desirable in the midst of these things, where I think about, particularly in relation to my research, Anthony Penn, who talks about beauty and aesthetics in the Black church, where historically Black folks have been denied access to public spaces, where Black physical bodies were only seen and conceptualized as tools. And Black folks could face real physical violence for being presentable, where we typically think being presentable may protect us from violence, but we've seen forms of violence enacted on Black people because this assumption that Black people are trying to assert themselves, Black people or this particular Black person thinks, right, they're more than just what society deems them. And then so church became an aesthetic process also, where it became a space where we not only came and heard the word, but we got to look good doing it. And surviving in that manner makes having a future, right, that more advantageous. Because so for me, I think about the aesthetic realm as being a place to where we've found happiness in the moment. And if we can find happiness and beauty in the most monstrous conditions, right, that makes this possibility of dreaming a little bit easier. And so for me, I'm thinking about how even at this particular moment in time, one of the most difficult moments I've been in, right, in my lifetime, where I see people performing and engaging and loving each other in ways that it makes a future, right, not only possible, but it makes it something that's desirable.
Yeah,